Hello, my name is Lillian Agbeigbe, and thank you for joining me again on Early Lenses. Last week, I came to you from Temple of Praise International Church. I was sitting on a panel at an event organized by the Nigerian American Lawyers Association in collaboration with the National Association of Nigerian Nurses of North America. It was their event in observance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is this month of October. And we wanted to break the silence around domestic violence. It was a really very wonderful and informative session. And I encourage you, if there's still time, as today is the 20th, 11 days, you still have time to do something about domestic violence in the month of October. I encourage you to make a donation to a domestic violence service organization, take a walk, go volunteer, share some information, learn something that you can use to encourage somebody. Today, I wanted to talk about the issues that women face in society. You know, we understand that both men and women suffer from domestic violence, intimate partner violence. When we say that there's societal factors that predispose women to be mostly victims of domestic violence, intimate partner violence, surprisingly, some people are like, I don't get it. What do you mean societal values? What do you mean societal issues? What do I mean? Well, we can have that conversation at this very time, I can assure you. So if you are in the United States, indeed, if you're anywhere in the world and you have access to the internet, you probably have heard about the story of Harvey Weinstein that broke just not too long ago. As at the last time, I think over 60 women have come out to say how they were raped, sexually harassed, and have all sort of experiences with Harvey Weinstein. Many things have bothered me about this entire episode. One being the length of time that this sort of behavior has allegedly been going on. We're talking about decades of this kind of unacceptable behavior. But guess what? When you do something that is supposedly unacceptable and you get away with it, there's no motivation to modify your behavior. And when you can get away with it, you can get away with it. So you just continue to do this thing, even though it is really not acceptable. Another thing that has bothered me is the diversity of the women who have come forward to recount their experiences. Ordinarily, when you think about women who have no voice, I wouldn't necessarily have put some of these women in the mix of things. But this is what society has done and is doing to women. We're so conditioned that somebody comes up and speaks, and what you get instead is a settlement offer. And you can say, why are you going to take a settlement offer instead of saying your piece? Sometimes the choice is between the devil and the deep blue sea. Damned if you do and damned if you don't. And these are the situations that women tend to find themselves in. I've also been surprised about the people around who've known about this in one form or the other, unsubstantiated, unverified. Just has so much been going on. People have known about it and have not said anything. Today, the correspondent from the New York Times, Judy Cantor, was saying on CBS this morning that I think one of the issues is because we do not have a legal and societal acceptable definition of sexual harassment. Seriously. No societal acceptable definition of sexual harassment. So sometimes people just think it's guys being guys. There's nothing like guys being guys when you're compromising somebody's humanity. There really isn't. You know, we talk about all of these issues as if it is something that is so not clear. I've also heard about some of this talk being about sex being consensual. Yes, consensual sex. So let me see if I get this correctly. You come to me, you have a gun in your hands, you're pointing the gun at my head, and you say we should have sex. sex happens, you're going to be able to sleep in the night and say that that was consensual sex. My life is at stake. Really. My career is at stake. My income is at stake. My resources are at stake. My future is at stake. So much is at stake. That isn't consent. You may not be able to win in a court of law, but in the court of moral judgment, in the court of moral uprightness, you have taken what was not given to you. If it was given to you, it was given to you with great compulsion, under duress. It doesn't qualify to be counted as something that was given to you. And this is the reality. This is what makes women predisposed to poor choices and choices that compromise our personality, our future, and a lot more. Now, in the wake of this crisis, the Me Too campaign started to trend. And if you've been on my Facebook page, you'll have seen that I put up a status, Me Too. Yes. Yes. Sexual harassment, yes. In the family, at the workplace, and in church. There's just something that tends to say that you just can't get away with it because you're a man. And there are values, there are perceptions that need to change. We worry a lot about, and that's how we're conditioned. I'm not blaming anybody. We worry a lot about what will people say. How is this going to appear? I'll share 2 of my own experiences about Me Too. And this first one, I was just talking up to my cousin-in-law recently, happened just before my mother died. I was 16 years old. And a relative of ours had come to me and had put this ludicrous proposal before me. And I was very confident that, this was a clear-cut violation of everything that was decent. And I went to my mother and I told my mother, expecting my mother to react. I was totally unprepared for her bland response. And I said to her, Mother, did you hear what I said to you? And she said she did. It's like, aren't you going to say anything? Aren't you going to do anything? And she said to me, did you go? I said, no. Are you going to go? I said, no. Do you know you shouldn't go? I said, yes. She said, then that's the important thing. I'm like, I don't understand it, Mother. What do you mean that's the important thing? And she said to me, look, Lillian, you have told me something about a relative of your dad. There is no way I'm going to say this and not get into trouble with your father's family. It's going to be that I'm just trying to cook up trouble with his family and I'm using you and feeding you ideas. What? But yes, that was it. I mean, so what was enough was the fact that I wasn't going to go and do this thing. It wasn't enough that somebody had done something that they shouldn't do and nobody was going to take it up with them and say, you are in a position of responsibility. This is not something that you should be suggesting to 16 years old young people. This is not something you should be suggesting to anybody, period. But no, we're not going to have a family crisis over my mother trying to make trouble with my father's family. So that was the end of that conversation. And I learned very quickly that it really didn't matter. And after that, I never said anything else. When things went out of whack, I never said anything else. Because that's what we're conditioned to do. That's how we're conditioned to think. I had many episodes of sexual harassment at the workplace, but there was one in which, when talking about response, that my mentor knew my boss. And so I said to my mentor, my boss is harassing me at work. This is interfering with my ability to do my work. I was wondering if you could have a conversation with him about allowing me to concentrate on my work. And he said, oh, yeah, sure, he would. And he came and had this conversation. Now, I don't know what he said because I wasn't in that meeting with them. I don't know how my then boss understood the conversation. All I know was that the next day I was told that we had an official trip to go out of town. But I wasn't going to leave. We weren't going to leave from the office. I had to meet him at a hotel for us to leave from a hotel to go on this official trip. And so I fell sick, of course, and I didn't go. But it was only a matter of time before I started to feel like this is ridiculous. How many times do I need to say no? How many times do I need to say stop? How many times do I need to say no? And I was beginning to feel like this is ridiculous. So I went to work one day and I resigned. And no, I didn't have another job. Fortunately for me, I could follow my family to take care of my basic needs. So I didn't really need the income from the job. But I tell you, if I had desperately needed the income from the job, I'm not sure I would have had the confidence to have gone to work and gone to resign from my position. But that's what I did. That's what I did. So how do we move forward from here? All of these things that are facing us in society. My name is Lillian Agbaegbe. I'm the Executive Director of The Rest of Our Life. The Rest of Our Life is a non-profit organization. You can reach us at therestofourlife@gmail.com if you have any questions, any comments. And I'm saying that in order for us to move forward as a society, there's a need for us to understand that men can have an important place and they should have an important place in society. However, that position should not be translated to meaning that they are above question. Their behaviors cannot be questioned. They cannot be held accountable. They cannot be challenged. And I'm not saying that women don't have issues that they do, but I'm just saying in terms of things that predispose women to being suppressed and being oppressed and not having a voice and not being able to speak out when they should. We have to move away as a society from a place where we just feel that it's the men and they can do it. And if they do it, it's okay. And I know men who don't do that. But I want to let you know that if you're a man and you behave yourself and you respect the women as you should, it's not enough that you do. I applaud you for doing that. But it's not enough that you do that. You have to take the next step and make sure that the men in your circle also understand that this is behavior that they should practice. Encourage them to do likewise. Have conversations with them about inappropriate behavior. Don't pretend. Don't be like Tarantino and come out and say, oh, maybe I should have said something. There's no maybe I should have said something. You should have said something. You should have said something. We can't sweep things under the carpet and expect these things to go away. We need to have these conversations. I want to challenge you today. I want to challenge you today to say enough is enough. If you have a voice and you have been harassed, let's begin to speak up. Let's begin to speak up. Let's begin to let the world know that this is not the life that we want to live. This is not the rest of our life. The rest of our life, we should be able to live our lives and feel the fullness of our potentials. We're not able to do that when we're oppressed, when we're suppressed, and when we don't have a voice. Women have a lot to contribute to society, and we should be allowed to make our contributions to society without feeling compromised in any way, without having experiences that we feel we cannot talk about. And we think that, oh, I'm the only one who's going through this and I cannot talk about it. We need to move forward as a society. And it all begins when you speak up. It all begins when you support somebody who speaks up and not oppress them further. I thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you next time on Early Lenses. Thank you.